Hello everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the important graphs we have in chapter 9. Okay, I'm going to start with production in the short run. Hopefully, you find it helpful. Um, so, of course, the graph that I'm about to draw is on the lecture notes, so you can go ahead and check out the lecture notes, but I'm just going to explain a little bit more as I'm redrawing this important diagram we have, okay? So in the short run, if you remember from the beginning of this chapter, the only factor of production or input that we can change in the short run is labor, okay? So the other resources like land and capital are fixed because they're too expensive for businesses actually to invest and purchase in the short run because of the short amount of time they have, because of the high risk in the short run, and because of the uncertainty about the future. So the main question that we should kind of have in the back of our minds is, okay, we know that we can change the labor in the short run, but how many labor we should hire in the short run? Should we hire? And the answer actually depends on these two graphs, okay? So when we don't have any worker in the short run, obviously we are not able to produce anything. Remember, the TP stands for total product, the total amount of output we can produce. So if we don't hire anybody, since labor is the only input we have in the short run, we are not able to produce anything. As we hire more and more, there is kind of sharp increase in the total product we have, the total amount of output we have. You can think about the restaurant in a short run, okay? As we hire more and more workers, and let's say TP is the number of burgers per hour that a kitchen in the restaurant can produce. As we hire more and more workers, the number of burger per hour, which is my TP, is gonna go up. At some point, since I am hiring more workers, but my land and capital, my other resources are fixed, my number of burger per hour will go up, but not as fast as before because I am putting all these workers in the same kitchen. I'm not changing my location. I'm not renting a bigger kitchen. I'm not buying more ovens, pots, and pans. So my labor, my workers are working with the same amount of capital I had before. So number of burger per hour is still going up, not as fast as before. And I'm going to explain again why the rate of increase in TP is kind of going down when I'm talking about TP and AP here. So at this point, we have basically the maximum number of burger per hour that more workers can produce for us. If we decide to hire more after this point, okay, so after this point, if I decide to hire more workers, my TP starts to decline. Okay, so that's the shape of my total product. Now let's talk about marginal product and average product. Marginal product, if you check out the definition, is the extra amount of output that additional worker can provide for us. When an AP is the labor productivity, is the product, is the total, is the average product, is your total output per unit of labor, okay? So when we start hiring basically workers and hire people for our kitchen, in this example that I was telling you, our marginal product, which is the additional output, and I should be very careful kind of how I'm drawing it, and hopefully I'll be able to write nicely. As I hire more and more people, look at the TP, right? TP is going up. The additional burger per additional worker is also going up. Okay, that's my MP, that's my marginal product. But as soon as my total product starts to increase, I'm talking about this part of the graph, but at the slower rate, that's where my marginal product, my MP, starts to decline. This is kind of the area that businesses should be kind of very, very careful with. It's kind of a red flag for businesses in the short run because you are hiring more workers. The additional burger that additional worker is providing for your kitchen is going down. So you should, however, remember the total number of burger that we are producing in the kitchen is still going up. The TP is still going up. But shows that this reduction in MP shows basically that our workers are not as productive as before. We are hiring more. Remember, hiring more means extra cost for you, means that your marginal cost is going up, which is another important graph in this chapter. So you are hiring more, your total number of burger, your TPs is still going up, but the additional burger per worker actually is going down. So you have to probably stop hiring more workers right here and here. But sometimes in the short run, businesses actually make this mistake. They think that, okay, I'm hiring more because my TP is growing, but they're not aware of the decrease in marginal productivity. And if they continue hiring more and more workers, when their TP, the total product, starts to decline, the marginal product becomes negative. We call this part of total product that is going up very fast, and this part of marginal product that is going up, increasing, sorry for my handwriting, it's really hard to write, increasing marginal returns or increasing returns. So we are experiencing increasing return here and here, increasing returns again here. Let me change my color so you can see better. And right here, when total product is going up, but at a slower rate, we are experiencing diminishing returns. Okay, same thing here. When marginal product starts to decline, we are experiencing diminishing returns. And let me choose another color. And when TP starts to decline, we are experiencing negative returns. Same thing here. Negative returns when marginal product is negative. So on the test, before I talk quickly about AP or average product in the exam or homework question, if I'm asking about diminishing returns, be aware that diminishing return can be related to TP, can be related to MP, or even it can be related to MC, marginal cost. So diminishing return is when marginal product is going down, decreasing, is when total product is going up at a slower rate, or it's when marginal cost is increasing. So 3 different ways that we can define each part of this graph: increasing return, diminishing returns, okay? Not so much about the negative returns. Negative returns is when TP is just decreasing and when marginal product is negative. Let me also quickly add take this one, average product. So average product is labor productivity. For those of you who took macro, you probably remember labor productivity. So again, it's the amount of output per unit of input. Here, our only input is labor. So average product or labor productivity. So labor productivity goes up as we produce more and as we hire the right amount of labor, okay? And that's the reason behind this, the reason behind this sharp increase in TP and also increase in increasing part of marginal product. And the reason that the marginal product is going up is because of our average product is going up as we hire more and more labor, right amount of labor, okay? It goes up. So our labor is super productive. That's why our TP is going up very fast. The additional trigger per worker is going up. But as soon as, this is AP, as soon as we enter the diminishing return area, our average product, which is the labor productivity, starts to decline. My graph is not really perfect. Definitely check out the lecture notes, okay? But I kind of trying to explain everything about production. So this graph is short run production, okay? Short run production. So now I am going to draw my cost curve, and I'm going to clear everything up so you can definitely go back and check the graph. So this is again chapter 9. I am going to draw cost, okay? So now I'm going to draw. We have two different cost diagrams. In this one, I'm going to draw, and make sure to have, guys, this is Q or output. Be sure to get familiar with TFC, TVC, TC, all these abbreviations we have, TP, TVC, I don't know, average fixed cost, AFC, AVC, okay? So TFC is total fixed cost, like there are fixed costs, right? So it could be the rent you pay in the short run for your business. It could be the interest you pay on your mortgage. It could be the insurance you have for your business. These are your fixed costs. TVC stands for total variable cost. These are the costs that vary with the amount of output that you produce, like the electricity bill that you pay, the cost of the raw materials you use for your production. These are your variable costs, okay? The wages you pay to your workers, these are your variable costs. Total cost is total fixed cost plus total variable cost. So let's start with TFC, or total fixed cost. So total fixed cost is fixed. Look at the definition we have. No matter how much you produce, your rent is not going to change. Your mortgage is not going to change. Your insurance is not going to change. So if you produce 100 units of output, your fixed cost, let's say, is $100,000. If you produce 200 units of output, your fixed cost, which is the sum of your rent, your mortgage, your insurance, is going to be the same. If you produce 300 units of output, your fixed cost is still the same. So no matter how much you produce, your fixed cost is fixed. So our fixed cost, it's not a straight line, is fixed, and it's horizontal, okay? So this is our TFC. So total fixed cost is fixed no matter how much you produce. It is independent of the amount of output you produce. Total variable cost, however, depends on how much you produce, and it increases as you produce more and more. If you don't produce any output, your total variable cost will be zero. So let me write it here. If quantity is 0, your TVC will be 0. But remember, your TFC is $100,000 in this example, is not 0. Okay, so TVC starts right here from the origin and it goes up as you produce more and more. Again, my graph is not perfect. Look at the notes for kind of better shape for my TVC. It goes up as you produce more and more and more and more. Okay, if you don't produce anything, the total variable cost will be 0. Total cost, shape of total cost really depends on our total variable cost, because fixed cost is fixed, right? So the total fixed cost is not going to impact our total cost because it's a fixed number. But the shape of TC is very, very similar to TVC, okay? But since TC is the sum of TFC and TVC, so if we do not produce any output, remember that our TVC will be 0, but our TFC is not 0, right? Even when Q is 0, like here, your TFC is still positive, right? It's not 0. So when quantity is 0, our total cost, look at the graph, our total cost will be equal to TFC, right? That's very important. So our TC on the graph starts wherever our total fixed cost is located. So, and it goes up as we produce more and more output, just like TVC, because TVC is increasing, right? TFC is fixed, it's not changing. But as we produce more and more, TVC is going up, so does total cost, TC, okay? The distance between, let me use this color, the distance between TC and TFC, my graph, again, I'm emphasizing, is not perfect. Definitely check out my notes. It's difficult for me to draw even a straight line here. The distance between TC and TVC is TFC, and it is fixed. Mine is changing here. So the distance between TC and TVC is total fixed cost. It doesn't change. In my graph is changing because my graph is not perfect, but it should be fixed, okay? And why the distance between these two is TFC? Rearrange this formula. TC minus TVC is our TFC, right? So the distance between TC and TVC is TFC, total fixed cost. Okay, let me give you a minute or a second. I don't have a minute. My video is already long, but that's fine. Okay, let me just give you another second to kind of digest everything before I talk about another important cost graph. Okay. So the next one that I'm going to draw for you is the average cost, okay? Average cost. So let me clear again everything here, okay? So this one is average cost. Again, chapter 9. Okay, let me change my color. I don't like it. Okay. So again, I have Q or output here. And here I have AFC, average fixed cost, AVC, average variable cost, ATC, average total cost, and MC, marginal cost, okay? I'm gonna start with average fixed cost, and as I told you in my video on Monday for this week, you can definitely keep the formulas handy for the final exam because that's a lot to remember. I even give the formulas to my face-to-face classes, so make sure that you have notes of them when you are taking the test. I'm absolutely fine with that, but just make sure you know how to use it. So this is the formula we have for average fixed cost. Average fixed cost is the fixed cost per unit of output. So if you divide total fixed cost by quantity, then you can get your average fixed cost. Total fixed cost was fixed, right? It was fixed. So in that example that I gave you was $100,000. So when you divide a fixed number by quantity that is going up because we're producing more and more, right? And that's what businesses do. What's going to happen to this ratio? This average fixed cost ratio will go down as we produce more and more. So you can imagine the shape of the average fixed cost. Average fixed cost has a decreasing function. So as we produce more and more, look at my average fixed cost. Average fixed cost decreases as we produce more because of this formula, this ratio here, okay? Average variable cost, we'll write the formula here. And look at definitely the example in the table that I put right before this diagram on the notes, and try to calculate some of them. Make sure you know how to calculate all those numbers and look at the changes in average fixed cost. It matches with what I just showed you here. For the same thing for average variable cost. Average variable cost is the variable cost per unit of output. So it's TVC, total variable cost, divided by Q. Okay, let me change my color. So our average variable cost, if you look at the table for this part in the notes, you will see when the level of output is low, our average variable cost per unit of output declines. At some point, it reaches the minimum and then it starts to increase. Okay, I feel like my minimum is here now. Okay, here. Okay, so average variable cost has a U shape. At the lower level of output, the variable cost per unit of output starts to decline as we produce more and more, and the cost actually is increasing. The variable cost per unit of output is also going up. Let me write down the average total cost here. There are two formulas for average total cost. Average total cost, as I put it in the lecture notes, is TC divided by Q, total cost divided by Q. Also, I can write that average total cost is average fixed cost plus average variable cost, okay? So add this formula also to your notes. Again, if you go back to the table where you are calculating the average total cost, you will see that average total cost, just like average variable cost, goes down when the level of output is low, okay, reaches the minimum, and then it starts to increase. Again, this graph is not perfect. It should be smoother than this. I couldn't. Let me see if I can make it better. Okay. It has, oh no, I don't want it. Oh, I don't want the eraser. I don't want the eraser. Oh gosh, what did I do? Oh, okay. So I think, okay. So that is the U shape. So average total cost, just like average variable cost, goes down, which is the minimum, and then it starts to increase. What I want you to be aware of here is, again, definitely look at the notes. That graph is more precise. Is how average, so let me write down average total cost, is getting closer and closer to average variable cost. And the reason goes back to average fixed cost, because the distance between average total cost and average variable cost is average fixed cost. What is happening to our average fixed cost as we produce more and more? Average fixed cost, look at here, is going down. So we should see a decline in the distance between average total cost and average variable cost as we produce more and more. Okay, so this is very, very important. So they're getting closer and closer as we produce more and more output. Let's add the last one, and this is the last thing I'm going to discuss in this long video. Um, Marginal cost. Marginal cost, remember, is the additional cost of producing one more unit of output. So it is the change in TC. Be careful. It is not average total cost. It's TC, total cost, divided by change in Q. Again, sorry for my handwriting. If you again look at the table right before this diagram in the notes, you will see that again marginal cost goes down as we produce more and more output. So when the level of output is low, our additional cost of producing one more unit of output is going down, and then marginal cost starts to increase as we produce more and more. So we have another U-shaped graph. So it's kind of easy to remember. Average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost. Uh-oh. Let me undo, start over. It is not easy to draw things here. Okay, one more time. It's getting closer for some reason. Okay, one more time. Okay, this is the best that I can do. Okay, it is a U shape. U shape. It is not absolutely U shape, but suppose it's U shape, and it passes through the minimum point of average total cost and average variable cost. Again, my graph is not perfect, all right? So this is my MC, marginal cost, okay? So easy to remember, average variable cost, average total cost, and marginal cost, they are all U-shaped. And average fixed cost goes down, right, as we produce more. So what does this diagram basically tells us? It says that when the level of output is low, remember, we're talking about short run. So at the beginning of this video, I told you what is the right amount of labor we should hire, right? Worker we should have in the short run. And it was right before that area that we enter the diminishing return, right? In the short run, it's also important how much we produce, how many Qs we are producing, how much output we are producing. So if you look at the graph, when the level of output is low and when the marginal cost is declining and our average variable cost and average total costs are going down, and I am going to add another kind of, I want you to pay attention to this part. I am talking about this part of this graph. We really don't care about the average fixed cost. So look at here, when my marginal cost going down, I'm producing more, right? Q is going up. But look at the pink one, marginal cost declining, red one, average variable cost is going down, green one, average total costs are going down. So all suggesting that we are producing actually the right amount of output because we are producing more output, but the extra cost is going down, the variable cost per unit of output is going down, the total cost per unit of output is going down. So we are on the right track. As soon as we see this increase in average variable cost, increase especially in marginal cost and average variable cost, again, these are the true red flags for our business in the short run. We are entering the diminishing return. We are entering the part where we are hiring too many workers and we are producing too many output. We have to cut back our production. We have to cut back our hirings, okay? Because we are entering the diminishing returns. We are going to lose money. This is the area where profit starts to decline. And remember, we are all about maximizing profit as a business owner, right? So if you want to have your business in the future, that is your goal. You want to maximize your profit, right? And again, short run is super duper important for you. The decisions that you make in the short run is very, very important. You have to make sure that you are going to hire the right amount of workers in the short run, because that's the only thing you can change. You cannot change your capital and your space easily. You should be careful with how many output you are also producing. Okay, so if you figure that out, if you figure out the optimal number of workers you hire, if you figure out the optimal number of output you have to produce, you can definitely survive in the short run, and you can expand your business in the future. All right, so hopefully you found this video helpful. I just thought it's better to add another video here. Let me figure out how I'm able to pause and stop my recording. All right, so um, hopefully it was helpful. Sorry it's long, but I thought that it's just necessary to go over these three important graphs. Remember that we have also another graph that will put the marginal cost and average variable cost. With total product and marginal product, we're connecting them. I tried to explain it here when I was talking about this declining part of marginal cost and average total cost, average variable cost. Okay, but pay attention also to that graph, but I already explained it. All right, bye now.